successful Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City was on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, I am anticipating another Batman game. If there is another Batman game, it'll probably not be on the movie, but if they don't have any ideas for another game, why not make one on the movie? I'd love to see another Batman game made, because the Arkham City series, if you want to call it that, was so successful. You can head to esrb.org for additional information on that, and the developers of the game, of course, Warner Brothers Games, probably have additional information on that. That is a game I do recommend that you play. A video game series. You should start with Arkham Asylum, where Batman leaves the Joker to die, and then follow through with Batman Arkham City, where the Joker eventually dies. Don't mean to ruin it for you. But, the Batman thing has been blown completely out of proportion. And I guess we're going to get the answers to the questions we were left with 4 years ago, because you wouldn't believe how many people I asked, is this actually it for Batman? I actually asked one of the hosts that work with me here on EGW Entertainment Radio a couple of weeks after seeing the film. I said to him, in an interview that we were recording for our forum, back when we were on the asport.com, I asked him, is this it for Batman? And he's like, okay, Batman quits. And this is it. No more Batman movies. So he was wrong in his analogy of it, and then I was wrong because I took his word for it. And here comes this sequel, very highly anticipated, to the Dark Knight thing from 2008. Now, it's been 4 years. How much has changed? There's going to be a considerable amount changed. One thing I didn't catch is who the villain is and who's going to be portraying the villain. Now, the way I see it is, with how much of an insignificant role Two-Face had in the original Dark Knight movie 4 years ago, and how late he was introduced into the film in 2008, I see them following through with Batman going up against Two-Face to avenge the death of his girlfriend or his wife, whatever you want to call it, who actually died in a massive explosion near the end of the film. With 20 minutes left in The Dark Knight, she dies, and it gets blown to Kingdom Fuck. So I do see something being done with Batman and Two-Face for a 2.5-hour long film with probably 2 or 3 additional villains thrown in there. There are so many Batman villains, from Hugo Strange to the Riddler. Warner Brothers is not at a limitation to throw somebody in there to go up against Batman. You don't need to have every Batman movie since 1989 be about Batman versus the Joker. Yes, the Joker may have been involved with Batman ever since 1940, with the introduction of Harley Quinn in 1999 for the first time in the comics and the animated series, and it was a couple of years after that she was used for video games. But you don't need to have every Batman movie and every Batman comic be involving Batman and the Joker in the next chapter of that rivalry. You need something done. I'd love to see more of Batman versus Scarecrow, which we never see enough of. Or Batman versus the Dark Knight, which was an actual evil character in the Batman comics that was never used enough. Or Batman versus Mr. Freeze, even, which we haven't seen done since 1997, 1998. I'd love to see another altercation between Batman and, Mr. Freeze, even if it is George Clooney versus Arnold Schwarzenegger, There are so many Batman villains who are second best to the Joker, so there are so many people you can throw in there to have Batman go up against. It doesn't need to be Batman versus the Joker all the time. And if it is Batman versus the Joker in Batman The Dark Knight Rises, I'm going to be pissed, because we had to sit through a 2.5-hour long movie of that just 4 years ago. But the thing is, Heath Ledger did such a good job portraying the Joker that there's no need to have the Joker involved in the sequel of this one. Have a different villain we haven't seen Batman go up against in years. Have him have a legitimate reason as to why he's challenging Batman again and providing him with opposition. And we'll go from there. I don't really need to see another Joker versus Batman thing. I've been watching that ever since the 1980s, which I don't want to see again. I don't want to see another Adam West, Jack Nicholson type thing. Which would be absolute bullshit and would ruin it for me. This is one of the most highly anticipated superhero movies of the summer, as I said here at the top of the show. More superhero movies are being released this summer, and so early in the summer. than any other summer prior to this one. I mean, we had The Amazing Spider-Man, we had Batman The Dark Knight Rises, and even before those films released theatrically, we had The Avengers, which had an incredible array of Marvel comic superheroes, everyone from Thor to Captain America coming back for one last stand, original actors. Loved that back in May, and really looking forward to Marvel Comics releasing the Spider-Man movie for the first Spider-Man movie in about 5 years, and this whole Batman thing from DC Comics is just going to be blown completely out of proportion. There are going to be that many crazy fans of our Batman. I don't even want to begin to envision what the turnout is going to be like for this type of film. It's not going to be showed 12 times like the Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 film was just a couple of months ago before it was ever released on Blu-ray. But it's going to be showed a significant amount of times because of the popularity of Batman films. And yes, I do believe they're never going to stop making Batman movies, even though the trailer details that this is it for Batman. I honestly don't want to believe that this is it because the Batman movies have been so fun to watch. Even Batman Begins, which was released by Warner Brothers back in 2006, talking about how Batman was created because of the death of his parents. And how he had to avenge their death by fighting the crime and ridding Gotham City of every evil doer out there. I think that this is just going to be a whole lot of fun for everybody, especially fans who aren't really familiar with Batman movies going all the way back to 1989. Of course, Batman really began back in the 1940s, the early 1900s. And since then, I mean, Batman has become a global phenomenon, and he's the most known superhero out of everybody who has actually had a role or anything to do with comic book creators from Marvel or DC Comics. He's no more than Spider-Man, no more than Thor, no more than the Hulk, no more than any of the X-Men. And he's definitely been predominant over the last 75 years, no matter who portrayed him. All the Batman actors did an excellent job, right through from Adam West to George Clooney, but I think that Christian Bale stands alone as the king in these Batman movies because he has the voice for it, and he definitely has the look. Both roles, Bruce Wayne and Batman, have been played so significantly well by Christian Bale, and I've enjoyed all of his Batman movies from when he starred in Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight in 2008, which came out 2 years after the DVD of Batman Begins dropped from Warner Brothers, and now he's coming out with his third major role as a Batman in this film, probably going up against a different villain. And if you caught the trailer here in our radio form and on our Twitter page, doesn't it look fantastic? I mean, everything about The Dark Knight just jumps out at you. It's almost like Batman is going to come to life in a way that he never has before. Definitely we've seen Hollywood improve with special effects and their presentation. Very different from Batman movies back in the 90s. And of course Batman has become more and more detailed over the years. And I said here earlier, the thing about Batman The Dark Knight was it was so good, and it kept you on the edge of your seat from the beginning of the film. The film starts off, Joker's goons are robbing the bank. Joker is introduced in the first 5 minutes of the film, and over 2.5 hours you're just excited. From the beginning of the film to the end of the film. Two-Face may have been introduced a bit too late out of Batman fans, but I think they're going to carry it over to Batman The Dark Knight Rises, which is going to be a whole lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to finding out what direction Warner Brothers takes this in, and if this is it. You can't help but be in awe and amazement over how far Batman has come. Batman has come a long way. He's feuded with everyone from Hugo Strange back in the 1940s to the Joker. So I think that this is going to be fun for everybody, especially fans of Batman who aren't familiar with the whole Batman concept. Young audiences are going to love it, although it's not a film that I would recommend for a young audience member to watch on their own. Definitely an adult accompaniment. I strongly advise that because this film is going to have a mature rating, but if you're a die-hard Batman fan of probably the age of 5 or 6 years old, why not go and see it with parent supervision, of course. There are all kinds of reviews of the Batman film available on internet movie reviewing websites like Internet Movie Database, and of course movies.com have some unique information on the Batman film. I'll probably link you up to it for additional information. But this film, very highly anticipated. It's going to be more successful than Madagascar 3, which is the #1 movie in the world right now, believe it or not, with Ben Stiller and Chris Rock. And it's going to be more anticipated than Men in Black 3 with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. It's really going to dominate. I think it's going to be way better than the Amazing Spider-Man, although it is the first Spider-Man movie in 5 years, and there is no reason why it shouldn't be good. But the thing that really draws me away from The Amazing Spider-Man is the fact that it seems like it's the original Spider-Man being retold with new actors, which is absolute bullshit. Being retold with a different villain rather than the Green Goblin, which is absolute crap. You should have a different villain. You shouldn't have to retell the entire Spider-Man story, which was told for the first time in the first ever Spider-Man movie on the big screen in 2002, the same year the Scorpion King was released theatrically. That really draws me away from what the Spider-Man movie could have been. First Spider-Man movie in 5 years. Saw a news report on it 5 years ago, was excited about it, thought it was going to be a completely different story, and disappointed like you wouldn't believe. So the movie I think that's going to be predominant and definitely in the box office is going to be Batman The Dark Knight Rises starring Christian Bale. Definitely highly anticipated, looking forward to finding out how it does in the box office, how many weeks it remains at number one. It's not going to be a Hannah Montana tale where it remains at number one for 1 week and that's it and it's bumped out of the top spot. It's going to remain in the top spot for an entire month or longer. However long it's in the theater, it's going to dominate for in the top position. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun for everybody. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's available on our Twitter at twitter.com/JonathanClarke1. If you aren't following us, head there and click follow. And you can see the trailer in our radio form, our new radio form, which we do encourage you to sign up for. It takes a minute and a half to complete your registration, so make sure you sign up for our radio form by creating a username and get access to tons of exclusive features found only in HEW Entertainment's official radio form, found now at hewentradio.boardhost.com, featuring improved archives and a way for you to interact with us like never before. I got some music for you on the way next. And we definitely invite you to tell us what you think of the Rise of the Dark Knight, or the Dark Knight Rises, whatever you want to call it, here on our YouTube channel by leaving us a comment, by following us on Twitter and sending us a tweet at twitter.com/JonathanClarke1, and by finding us on Facebook, our official Facebook page where you can hear the show at facebook.com/HEW Entertainment. Check out our social media banners found in the About Me section of our official Facebook. Facebook.com/HEW Entertainment. You're listening to our show on hewentradio.boardhost.com. I've got some music lined up for you from Katy Perry. It's her latest,